Indigo here. Today on Finding California Plants, we're going to be looking at some of the best California native plants for hummingbirds. The 3 best California native plants for hummingbird gardens. The plants on this list were chosen because they're plants that not only do hummingbirds love, but they have evolved with the hummingbirds, and the hummingbirds have evolved with them. These plants are native to California. They're easy to find in garden nurseries. They are easy to grow. They're seasonal in that they provide flowers at the time when the hummingbirds need them, and they look good year-round. Why native plants matter for hummingbirds? Native plants are those that occur naturally in a region in which they evolved. They are the ecological basis upon which life depends, including birds and people. Without them and the insects that co-evolved with them, local birds cannot survive. For example, research by the entomologist Doug Tellamy has shown that native oak trees support over 500 species of caterpillars, whereas ginkgos, a commonly planted landscape tree from Asia, host only 5 species of caterpillars. When it takes over 6,000 caterpillars to raise one brood of chickadees, that is a very significant difference. This is from the audubon.org website, Why Native Plants Matter. Native plants give life to the insects that feed the birds that have pollinated and sowed the seeds of those same plants for millions of years. The plants that share the native range of our favorite California hummingbird species have developed flowers specifically designed to fit their long beaks. They support a living buffet of insect life that feeds and sustains the hummers and their offspring year-round. They deliver the most beneficial nutrients at exactly the right time of year when the hummingbirds need it the most. This intricate and unique web of biodiversity is very specific to our exact part of the world, and we should study it, cherish it, and appreciate it for the miracle that it is, and support it whenever and wherever we can. We can do this by planting California native plants. How hummingbirds use plants. Hummingbirds use plants in 3 main ways. First, for food. About 75% of their diet is nectar from flowers. 25% is protein from consuming small insects and spiders. Hummers are very small, but expend a tremendous amount of energy due to their extremely high metabolic rate, which means they must consume an incredible amount of flower nectar every day just to survive. Hummingbirds will visit between 1,000 and 2,000 flowers each day, all year round. They prefer plants with lots of flowers for them to feed from, and ones that produce high amounts of nectar per visit. Hummingbirds will feed from flowers of any color, but when given a preference, their first choice is flowers that are red and either tube-shaped or puffball, like the bottle brushes. It is believed that this is because most pollinating insects are not able to see the color red and have an easier time landing on the flat, open flowers, so the red, odd-shaped flowers are more likely to have not been visited by insects and still have nectar available for the hummers. Since 1/4 of a hummer's diet is insects, using pesticides around hummingbird plants is a bad idea. In addition to killing the small insects that hummers rely upon for protein, the birds might directly ingest pesticides which could sicken or kill them. Spiders play another important role because hummers use spider silk to bind together the soft plant fibers out of which they build their tiny nests, which they adhere to the end of soft branches. Perching. Hummingbirds spend 60 to 80% of each day perching, surveying their territory and resting. They prefer leafless branches high off the ground for this, and will often return to the same place on the same branch again and again. Native range. There are 2 hummingbirds that you're most likely to see along the California Pacific coast, the Allen's hummingbird and the Anna's hummingbird. Up until the 1930s, both of these species had a very narrow range in California. But with the spread of urbanization in the last century, and with it the massing of millions of suburban foreign flowering plants and commercial hummingbird feeders, the Anna's hummingbird has extended its range northwards all the way up the coast into Canada, and both species have developed subpopulations that no longer migrate but stay in California all year long. As the California rainy season is the opposite of most of the world, meaning we get our rain in the winter and not the summer, The breeding season of hummingbirds is also the opposite of most birds in the world. Our hummers begin their nesting season in December, in our winter, and so it is very important that they have food available to them during the winter months. According to the experts at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, the most important native hummingbird plant starting in the winter months is the chaparral currant, or Ribes malvaceum, and the next one is the fuchsia-flowered gooseberry, Ribes speciosum. Chaparral currant blooms first, immediately following onset of winter rains, and Anna's hummingbirds promptly use it. Fuchsia-flowering gooseberry blooms later, January to March, and at that time may be used almost exclusively by the birds. The great berried manzanita, Arctostaphylos glauca, is also an important nectar source in the colder months, and it grows in chaparral above 600 meters. From a landscaping perspective, the chaparral currant and this variety of manzanita are both very large shrubs, and the fuchsia-flowered gooseberry, while absolutely stunningly gorgeous for a few weeks in the spring, is covered in wicked thorns and looks like a mass of ouchy dead sticks the rest of the year. If you have a large property to grow these, or an out-of-the-way place to hide the gooseberry, then these plants are for you. But if you're looking for a smaller, yard-friendly, easy-to-grow shrub that will bloom profusely during the early spring, I would recommend the island snapdragon and one of the smaller, easy-to-grow manzanita cultivars such as Howard McMinn or Point Reyes. In summer, the most important native plants for hummingbirds are monkeyflower, especially Diplacus longiflorus, hummingbird sage, Salvia spathacea, heart-shaped penstemon, Kikiella cordifolia, and woolly blue curls, Trichostemma linatum. All of these plants will produce gorgeous masses of flowers in the late spring, especially when planted in groups of 3 or more. But the rest of the year, they tend to look a little lifeless, scraggly, and worn. Monkeyflower and woolly blue corals especially do not like to have any water in the summer, so it can be tricky to keep alive in a standard mixed garden. An excellent landscaping alternative would be any of the native salvias, commonly known as sages. California native sages are lovely to look at all year long, come in all shapes and sizes, are very easy to grow and keep alive, and provide multitudes of lovely flowers throughout the summer months. One of my favorite things is waking up every morning in the summer to the sound of an Allen's hummingbird feeding on the Cleveland sage growing right outside of our bedroom window. You really can't go wrong planting native sages anywhere and everywhere, including your yard, your patio, your driveway. Your neighborhood hummers will love you for it. In the summer months, when nesting season is done for the hummers, the birds that migrate will head out and the ones that stay year-round will stake out their favorite blooming plants for daily regular visits. The California native plants that are most popular for hummers in the summer include the beautiful desert willow, western columbine, and all of the gorgeous native sages. All of these plants are pretty easy to get established, bloom profusely and for long periods over the summer months, and are frequented often by hummingbirds. As a special mention, I'd like to add the Baja fairy duster. Technically, this plant is not native to California, but it is native to the same range as our hummingbirds, and they just adore the bright red fuzzy blossoms. Horticulturally, this plant is unusual and can grow to be quite large, but it is container friendly and very low maintenance if you're willing to give it a go. For the fall, the California fuchsia epilobium species are the absolute best native flowers for hummingbirds. While most other plants start to fade from the summer heat, the epilobiums are just starting to wake up and come alive. The more sun they get, the more they will bloom. This plant comes in many colors, shapes, and varieties, and all of them provide a joyous splash of color that will enliven every heat-drenched garden. California fuchsias are extremely drought-tolerant, container-friendly, and easy to grow. They used to be called Zauschneria, which you have to admit is a really great name. So if you hear someone calling them this, you'll know which plant they mean. As an honorable mention, I have to put out here one of my most favorite flowering plants for birds in general, the Hooker's Evening Primrose, Onethera elata. While many people find this plant to be a bit straggly and untidy in the landscape, we love it for its easy nature, constant year-long blooms, and the way it provides both nectar for hummingbirds and seed for goldfinches. If compact, tidy shrubs are your thing, then skip this one for sure. But if you don't mind adding a bit of bird-friendly wildness to your landscape, this plant might just be for you. To sum it up, if you are a beginning native plant gardener and are looking for 3 native California landscaping plants to feed hummingbirds seasonally, I would recommend the island snapdragon, any of the native sages, and as many of the California fuchsias as you can manage. If you already have these plants in your garden and are interested in trying some new plants that are a little more unusual but still really great for the hummingbirds, I would recommend the Baja fairy duster, monkey flower, and Hooker's evening primrose. If you are a serious California native plant gardener and are looking for native plants that are the foundation of our hummingbirds' traditional diet and don't mind a bit more of a gardening challenge, consider growing the other plants mentioned earlier, such as the chaparral currant, fuchsia-flowering gooseberry, and great-berried manzanita. Any of the plants mentioned today will bring a bounty of luscious blooms and happy hummingbirds to your garden. This list of the top 3 California native landscaping plants for hummingbirds is unique in that it merges scientific information about our native plants and native birds, as well as throwing in my practical experience as a professional horticulturist. If you would like more information on creating a hummingbird-friendly garden, please visit the Las Politas Nursery website. If you would like to learn more about California native plants, including their native range and bloom times, please visit calflora.org. If you would like to learn more about hummingbirds, please visit the Cornell Lab of Ornithology's website, birdsoftheworld.org or allaboutbirds.org. Fall is the best time of the year to plant California native plants, so check out your local native plant nursery or native plant fall sales and get planting.
We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and we'll continue to make more like it. If you like the channel, please subscribe down below. It really helps us out. Thank you.